I'm not sure that it's easy to leave that much money on the table. You know what ends up happening? They start pulling you up in different directions. Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in.
Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories here on ProBox TV. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Well, it is fight week. That's right, DMITRY BIVLOL versus ARTUR BETERBIEV. A light heavyweight showdown between undefeated fighters is happening this weekend. We did a big fight breakdown on it. We will also have a watch-along right here in the ProBox TV studio. So throw on the fight, but listen to us. Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri will be talking about the fight. Well, speaking of Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri, we have them here to discuss not the fight itself, we've done that plenty of times, the future for both men. Paulie, I'll start with you. ARTUR BETERBIEV, of course, 39 years old, has dealt with some serious injuries. Should he beat BIVLOL? There are some great fights that are available to him, but years are catching up with him. Do you think he walks away or he takes another big fight?
You know, at that point, you're in a position where you have the option to walk away at this age. You know, BETERBIEV has been plagued with something that a lot of really difficult, tough fighters that don't have the super following get plagued with, and that's that nobody wants to fight them, right? You know, people talk about BETERBIEV, and there are a lot of times I hear the complaint, who exactly did he fight? Nobody wants to fight the guy. That's the problem Golovkin had when he was in his prime. Nobody wants to fight the guy. If your favorite fighter is avoiding these guys, then your favorite fighter is at fault. These guys destroy everybody in their path. BETERBIEV's been destroying everybody in his path. The best of the ones that attempt to take him on have lost, and have lost violently. Vosnik did pretty good, but eventually even he was, the sand came out of the hourglass for him too. This is a destructive guy, but he himself is aging. We're all human. And you can see the injuries that are getting to him more and more prior to camps, and he's had to pull out of some fights and so on and so forth. He looks a little bit more beatable in his old age. Yard gave him all he could handle. Callum Johnson had him on the canvas. You know, you're seeing a little bit of a little dents in the armor here and there, you know. But nonetheless, he's still very, very destructive, and that's why he's still at the top with 3 of the 4 major world championships unified in the light heavyweight division. He could walk away. Personally, I wouldn't mind seeing him walk away at a certain point, because if the destructiveness is eventually taken out of him, if he beats BIVLOL, it's probably going to be because of age. Eventually, age catches up to all of us, right? If he beats BIVLOL, it's a perfect swan song. But I'm not sure that it's easy to leave that much money on the table. You know what ends up happening? They start pulling you up in different directions. Just when you think you're out, they pull you back in, you know, and they offer you big time money, and you start to consider these things. And for a guy like BETERBIEV, who hasn't gotten all the huge fights all the time, because again, guys haven't really not wanted to go near him, that could be a very alluring to him.
Now, Chris, of course, you're now under pressure to throw us a Godfather quote with your breakdown, but you have BIVLOL, who's a little bit younger, does have some big fights and some big fight opportunities coming up should he beat BETERBIEV, including maybe a rematch with Canelo Alvarez. What do you think his best options are, considering, of course, Benavidez taking on Morrell later in the year or early next year? What's your thought on it?
Well, I think BIVLOL has a lot more opportunities than BETERBIEV does, just to all the points that you made, champ. I personally think this is going to be the last opponent BETERBIEV ever fights. Even with a win, like you said, he could win this fight and then retire. If the fight is close, they're going to do a rematch for big money, which makes a total sense in either direction. But I don't see him campaigning anymore beyond fighting a BIVLOL or a BIVLOL rematch. But in terms of BIVLOL, man, I'm going to look at a fight that just got announced as really fun, and that's the winner of David Benavidez and David Morrell. I mean, I think that's the most logical next step for a guy, if it is to be BIVLOL who gets the win, for him to look for the biggest fights available in the weight class, and those guys are going to be very deserving, even though they're both new to the weight class. But they're fighting each other, and they were top dogs at 68, and I think whoever wins that fight for Morrell and Benavidez is really going to stand heads and shoulders above everyone else in terms of the race to get to that undisputed matchup with a guy like DMITRY BIVLOL.
What about the money of a Canelo rematch, Chris? When you look at that, number one, do you think it's likely? And if it is likely, it is on the table, can BIVLOL turn it down? What's your thought on it, Chris?
No, BIVLOL absolutely won't turn it down. BIVLOL will even go down to 68, he said, to fight the Canelo fight. The fact of the matter is Canelo's not going to fight BIVLOL.
Guys.
That's not going to happen.
Yeah,
so he never beats him. So unless he's going and they're willing to take another loss, which I don't believe Canelo was at this point in his career, that fight ain't happening.
Guys, these segments are only a certain amount of minutes. Let's not waste time with the guys Canelo's not going to fight. Otherwise, we'll last for an hour. All right, let's stick to what is going to happen. All right, and champ, I agree with you. Canelo won't go near BIVLOL. opportunities. I'll tell you what, in the light heavyweight division, things move because this fight is happening, so things continue to move. Morrell and Benavidez, head and shoulders above the rest. I don't know yet at light heavyweight. You know, both of these guys still have a little bit to prove at light heavyweight as well. Terrific fighters. But what about Josh Buatsi?
Well,
if
Champ,
BETERBIEV,
I meant in terms of marketability to get the fight, not necessarily better.
I agree there. But I'll tell you what, because you're making me think. If it's close, you said could be a rematch, and most likely both guys will do it. Okay, Morrell and Benavidez fight. BETERBIEV and B will have a great fight. Let's say for all intents and purposes, we'll think ahead for a second and wishful thinking, right? You have a great, amazing fight. You have a rematch, just like Fury and Usyk are having a rematch. And Morrell and Benavidez have fought each other. Maybe the winner fights Josh Buatsi in the meantime.
Right.
You know, the winner of Morrell and Benavidez fights Josh Buatsi. Because, again, this weight class has relatively good fighters, pretty good fighters, from very, very good fighters in and around that are swirling, waiting for a shot. And thankfully, these guys are actually fighting and the wheels are turning, so these guys could step in. Also, you've got a Ben Whitaker who's been looking impressive on his way up as well. He's trying to move into the contender status as well. You know, this weight class moves well, and it continues to move because these guys are fighting.
Champ, you know what I'm going to say here, right?
Go for
Man,
it.
that makes a lot of logical sense, which means it won't happen.
But you can imagine what it'd be like, though.
We can picture it. Also, check out our ranking show in the light heavyweight division on ProBox TV. On our YouTube channel, we break them all down.
What's going on over here? Guys, we talk about all these possible great fights only in boxing. We talk about all these possible great fights, and we got to say it's probably not going to happen. We got a sport with terrific fighters. They get their star power up. They get a position of it. They don't fight. The fans get frustrated. We get frustrated. Our heads are falling off. I don't know what's going on anymore.
Movie quotes and boxing news, come to us here at ProBox TV. Of course, we'll be back short order with more boxing news. Once again, download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Also, don't miss Tim Tszyu's fight. Of course, we have an interview with him on our ProBox TV channel. Never fall behind in your boxing news. And we'll be back with more boxing news.
Wednesday Night Fights.
Dynamite action on Wednesday Night Fights every other Wednesday on your boxing channel.
Coming up on your next Wednesday Night Fights, October 16th. Chris, Primetime Colbert, and Omar Super Salcido step into the ring for what is sure to be a barn burner. Live from the ProBox Event Center in Plant City. Get your tickets at proboxtv.com or take your chances at the door. Wednesday Night Fights.
Boxing superstar Tim Tszyu is coming to Prime Video. Don't miss this championship showdown as Tszyu takes on undefeated Murtaz Aliyev for the super welterweight world title. Saturday, October 19th, streaming live exclusively on Prime Video for all Prime members.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.